This is titled Hablas Español. My mother's hair is the color of untouched snow on a winter's morning, the fluffy type present at dawn, shining in the glow of dim sunlight. It frames her face in wild clumps. There are deep creases around her eyes, and sunspots scatter her cheeks like constellations. On the street, she walks with her shoulders drawn inwards, her head lowered towards the ground, her eyes obscured by a baseball cap. My mother wasn't always this way. America did this to you, I said. It was my fault you were like this, I thought. Mom speaks English in a low voice with a thick Spanish accent. The words fall from her lips reluctantly like boxes thrown against one another, some in English and some in Spanish. She embraced English in America like a zebra grazing ice in, sorry, I'm a bit nervous, in Antarctica. Hablas Español, she always asked others when meeting them. We learned English together, stringing sentences like daisy chains, every new word a weapon for my arsenal, ready to use in a city that was too fast and too loud. Learning English to her meant forgetting home, and forgetting home meant being lost. To forget was to disappear, and my mother had to live. Spanish was the mossy mountains of our hometown in Tepoztlan, the posadas with piñatas and fairy lights, the sweet taste of ciruelas, and the melodies of my grandfather playing accordion by a campfire. Spanish was the language of her first kiss and her first child. It was flan, fireworks at the town square, and fresh ceviche with plum shrimp in the, sorry, technical difficulties. And fresh ceviche with plum shrimp in the summer. The idea of returning home someday fuels her during late nights and early mornings. The indistinguishable sounds emitted from the lips of strangers elicited fear in me at the age of 6 on my first day of elementary school. I did not understand anything anyone said. At first glance, English was the language of gringos, salty McDonald's fries, and skyscrapers without an end. It was not understanding where I was and waving goodbye to my grandparents for the last time at the airport. Learning to speak English meant embracing a culture and a language I could not refuse. Survival in America speaking English, and as an immigrant, I had to speak English better than the Americans. I read until English was no longer a mystery. Speaking English meant having a voice in this country. I was no longer mute, I existed. I expected English to fill the void inside. I did not realize being an immigrant means always being an outsider. I think in English, write in English, and speak in English. My first language has become a second language. Spanish twists and distorts my tongue in ways it did not before. Am I a traitor for speaking English instead of Spanish, for adopting the language of my colonizers and identifying with it more strongly than Spanish? Am I American? Am I Mexican? The song I can relate to is No soy de aquí ni de allá, which translates into I'm not from here nor there. There is freedom in not belonging to any place. I can be whoever I want to be. I'm too American to be Mexican and too Mexican to be American. America will never be my home, and Mexico will always be the home I left behind. My mother will never speak perfect English, and I will never speak perfect Spanish. She will always want to return, and I will want to stay. Sometimes I wish I could smooth over the lines on her face and give her back her thick brown hair. I wish I could undo the years of weariness and return her youth. Her toothy smile has remained the same, and her laughter still echoes across the room after she asked, "Hablas Español?"